Hi, everybody. Welcome to my weekly Facebook Live here in Reclaim Your Wild. I am live every Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central European time. And today I have some stuff to talk about in terms of 10 mindset shifts to help you get to 5-figure months. So this is just a kind of like a rundown of some of the things that I took notice of as I was shifting out of solopreneur, as I was shifting out of feeling like I had to do everything by myself. And that whole like DIY bootstrap mentality and doing stuff scrappy serves you really well. It gets things going. It gets your business up and running. It gets money coming in, right? And then once you got the program sorted, once you have the audience and you're starting to build your audience and you know what you're selling and you start to learn how to talk about it, which is always evolving, right? Like I'm still learning how to talk about the mastermind as I raise my rates and call in a different kind of person. I'm still fine tuning the messaging, right? And so even every program, I'm like, how can I change this messaging? How can I fine tune it? What do I need to say to get more of my ideal clients into these programs? So that's always something that you're working on. But as you start to step into the CEO mindset, it is a big shift. There's things that you have to stop doing. There's mindset shifts and beliefs. There's patterns that you have to start to disrupt. There are beliefs that you have to let go of, and you have to try on and adopt new beliefs so that you can have the kind of business that you want to be running, so that you can be making the kind of money that you want to be making. And the mindset that got you to where you are isn't going to be the mindset that gets you to the next level of where you want to be going. So that's what I want to talk about today. And this is just 10 of the many different shifts that I had to make in order to have the consistent 5-figure months. I think it's something I'm at like 25 consecutive 5-figure months at this point. So I feel like I know what I'm talking about. Finally. Okay, here we go. So the first one is really intentionally choosing to shift my thoughts and my frequency around money. So this was a very conscious decision. I realized that I really, really needed to start talking about and thinking about money. I needed to start treating it differently. I needed to start looking at my accounts and not ignoring my debt and not pretending like my credit card bills weren't ridiculous and I needed to figure something out, right? And so I really started being more mindful of what I was saying, how I spoke about money. I don't say I'll catch myself still, right? But like I can't afford that, or judging people for the thing. I'm a judgy bitch anyway, but karma, instant karma, choke on my spit. But the things of like, oh, it must be nice to be able to have that, right? And it's so funny too, because all of the shit that I used to talk about people who had money, like, oh, it must be nice flying business class. It is really fucking nice flying business class. And all of the things that it's just interesting, right? That all of the things that I used to talk shit about or, have judgment about, oh, 6-figure coaches, or, it's not all about money or whatever. I get it now. And I really had to start looking at why I was jealous and why I was talking shit and why I was having feelings about, people spending their money a certain way. And so it was just really an opportunity for me to look at that and clean it up and really start shifting how I was talking about money, and, not saying things like, I'll never own that, or I'll never have that kind of business, or I'll never have that thing, right? In my head, I can't fucking wait until I own a Mercedes. I cannot like I'll see BMWs and I'm like, oh, or Audis. I don't even know which one I want truly because they're just fucking gorgeous and they keep getting better. But I'm like, I can't wait. And before it was like, oh, I don't need that. Like, I'm fine with a Honda. I am fine with, I have a fucking bike right now. So I would take a janky ass Ford Fiesta if you gave it to me at this point. But really looking at what was it that I desired and why was I being judgmental about this, and really looking at this. One book that if you really want to start cleaning up your stuff to and start to really shift your mindset is You Are a Badass at Making Money by Tara Moore. There's exercises in there, so actually do them. There's writing exercises, there's things that you're going to be looking at, and it really helps you just start to shift your relationship. This is something that I talk to all of my clients about in all of the programs. We're going to be diving into like wealth energetics and money mindset and all of that stuff in the mastermind, because it just goes hand in hand. And when you're talking shit about money and you just start to block it, and if you're showing up and you've got lots of shit to say about making X, Y, and Z dollars, like good luck on having that come to you with ease. And then what also happens is if you're not cleaning this up now, when you start to make it, you feel immense amounts of like guilt and weirdness. And now you're one of those people. And so it would just be in your best interest to really start to intentionally choosing and looking at your thoughts and your beliefs around money and how you're talking about it. So the next part is number 2 is daily mindset and embodiment work, and really looking at my beliefs at every up level. So it is a non-negotiable for me to be doing some sort of mindset work. Now that I will say this too. I can coast a little bit, but as soon as I start having, like, I'll wake up with the first thought of being like, this isn't going to sell out. I know that I'm not hitting my mindset work hard enough. I know that I'm not doing enough embodiment work, and I'm not really getting behind my program and what I can do and what I know I can do and what's possible. Right. So also what I know is that, and I see this with myself and with everybody, is that launches will bring up so much stuff. So if you don't have a regular mindset practice and you try to start doing that while you're launching, good fucking luck, because now there's like lots of plates spinning. If you don't have a regular practice, my advice is to start to implement that now, whether that is just writing out brags and desires, and if you have the fears, and then rewriting those and really starting to work that into your business and make it a business activity. Because every person who's been in my higher level mastermind in the expansion pod knows this, and has said this, that we're no longer focusing on strategy. It is mindset, embodiment, energetics, holding a bigger business, learning how to be the person. So really stepping into those next levels that you desire to become and want to have. Once you get to a certain point at 5-figure months and moving towards 5-figure months and beyond, right? It's just a matter of tweaking the strategy. You already have the strategy. You know how to sell because you're already at going towards 5-figure months, right? Even if you're at the like 8K, 9K range, once you're like, I have a strategy. I don't hire my coach for strategy anymore. I've been working with her since 2019. We're not taught, like, she reminds me of the strategy of like, hey, did you do this? Like, maybe we could try this, or like do this little tweak, right? But I have the strategy. I know the strategy. It's all about how I'm showing up and what I'm believing and what I'm holding and how I'm doing it. And so if you desire to have longevity in your business, if you want to have more ease, if you want things to feel just infinitely better in your business, really having a mindset practice and implementing that in your business is going to be a game changer. Number 3, working on calibrating to those new levels before I was there. So I have the nervous system regulation to hold more money in my bank account, more clients than I've ever seen, more money going out because now I have a bigger team, or, my team has like an agency and she has team members, right? And this goes with the mindset work, obviously, because if you are not already doing the work and getting regulated to those higher months, when you hit those higher months, it is going to freak your system out because it's such a shock and it's a surprise. And I want it to be like, oh yeah, of course this was going to happen. Like I knew it was going to happen eventually, because I said it was going to happen, versus like, holy shit, how did this happen? I'm freaking out. I just had my 10K month and it came out of nowhere and I wasn't expecting it. And I just got some paid in fulls and like, how am I going to spend this money? And that's what happened to me when I had my first 5-figure month. And I think it was like $14,000. I went from like 8 or 9,000 right to like 14K and was like totally freaked out, shut down. My whole body was just like, what the fuck? But then when I had my first 20K month, I was cool as a cucumber because I learned from that last time and was like, no, I need to start doing my mindset practice and doing my journaling around 20K months are my new normal. I know exactly what I'm going to spend the money on. I know exactly where the money's going to go. I trust myself to be responsible with this money. I trust myself to be able to hold bigger amounts of money. And so really baking that into your mindset work so that when it happens, you're just like, oh yeah, of course it happened. Because that I've already been journaling on this. I knew it was going to happen. And then you keep doing that. And then it's more like higher months, right? Like if that's the kind of business that you want to be building. So number 4, another big shift that had to happen in my life was really looking at upgrading my life. And so not in a way, because like this is where lifestyle creep sometimes causes problems in businesses, in with people who are making more money. And I will say that things change when you have more money, right? But one thing that I really, and this is also really examining and looking at your lack mindset, your scarcity mindset, right? And so I was no longer like taking like no more the cheapest flights. And the cheapest flights are the ones that are wildly inconvenient. So you're flying at weird times, you're doing red eyes, you have like a ridiculous layover in the middle of nowhere, but you're like, but I saved $200. And it's like, yeah, but you could have been home like 2 days ago. So that's one of the pieces, like no more cheapest flights, or seats. So even if it just depends on like where I'm going, but, and then like how long the flight is too, right? So like for example, like when I go because I still love a good deal. So when I go from London to Seattle, I don't want to sleep. I also don't want to be fucking crammed in the back like a sardine, right? So I probably won't go for business class because I don't need to lay down, but I will go for premium economy because the seats are bigger, it's more comfortable, you're still getting good food, you're not in economy, and it makes a huge difference. But if I'm flying back and it's an overnight flight, you bet your ass I am upgrading to business. And if my company's paying for it, we're going for first. Because I'm just not available to be uncomfortable on those flights. And so also not sleeping in the airport during layovers. That was something that I did when I was a kid. I'm 43. I'm no longer available to do that. Fucking back hurts as is, like on a comfy bed. So I'm not going to do that. And so these are the things that you get to decide where you want to spend your money. This is where this part, like this is important to me. Other people might not give a shit, right? And they want to spend their money on, I don't know, handbags or making their like decorating their home, right? Like, so we all have priorities. So really looking at what your priorities are and what you want to upgrade, and then doing that. And really, that just shows a bigger level of trust too, that this money's not going to go away. I know how to make it, right? Instead of us like hoarding it and being like, no, I made, over 6 figures last year, but I'm not going to spend any of it because I don't trust that more of it's coming. So that's definitely a mindset piece to look at, right? Number 5, profit first. I will forever be an advocate of profit first and treating my business like a business. That I learned the hard way of what it looks like to just like shove money in my pockets and not be responsible with my money. And it just really caused me a lot of legal problems. And I don't want to have those anymore. And so obviously, and so I knew that I needed, when I got into legal trouble, right? And I had to shut my business down and open up a new business entity. This was when I was living in the Cayman Islands. So, yeah, I knew that I needed to become more responsible with my money and where it was going, and really, be accountable and have paydays and put money away for taxes and, profit and all of that stuff. So really looking at, where can I tighten this up? How do I need to start relating to my money and interacting with my money, so that I feel like I actually like own a business and that this is legit. So number 6, so this was such a big shift and so important, is already seeing yourself as that next level. So for me, for a long time, it was already seeing myself as a 6-figure coach, as a and then once I hit that, right, as a multi 6-figure coach. And now, and I will say too, like, there's like a jump from being multiple 6 figures, because that's like what, $200,000, right? And it just depends on like how you're like calculating the money, to go from like $500,000 coach, like $500,000, right? And so as I'm talking about this, like I can see like where I need to really step up my own mindset work and looking at the months. And so like, how much money is that? I'm just going to do some math. How much money is that a month? It's like a 41,666,000, no, million trillion. $41,666.67. Okay. So that's what I would be calibrating to. That's what I would be really seeing myself as. Now, I know for me, so last year I was averaging like $15,000 cash months. This year so far, I did the math and I think I'm at what, 17 or 19? I have to look. So for me to like tell myself that I'm like a $41,000 a month coach feels like a fucking stretch. It doesn't feel true. 30 feels like the next, right? Because I've had like a 28K. My highest month was like a 28K month. So I know I can get there. So, but I haven't had that since then. And so that would be my next level. So you want to really also start to, yes, see yourself as that next level, but you want to, don't put it so far that it doesn't feel possible. Like if I tried to get to 41, or if I was like, oh, I'm a $50,000 a month coach, it just feels, it just doesn't feel like I can get on board with that eventually, right? So this is where you want to make sure that when you're doing this work and doing this mindset work and doing this visioning work, that it's still something that you're able to like, be like, yeah, I could fucking get on board with that. That feels really good. So number 7, really taking an inventory of what you're no longer available for. I am no longer available for flying coach. I'm no longer available for depriving myself of something that I want and need, and like shoes and stuff. Like why would I have clothes with and shoes that are like run down, or like clothes with holes in them? That, right? But there was a time in my life where I had to wear my clothes and my shoes until they had fucking holes in them, because I was fucking broke. And so really looking at like, and just like reminding yourself as you start making more money too, like, I'm not broke anymore. I don't have to sacrifice these things. And looking at where you're possibly still living in that scarcity, or worried that this is all going to go away, or it's all a fluke, right? And really starting to set boundaries around that, and really just be gentle with yourself, because old habits die hard. And this is like generational money trauma that's also passed down, especially if you don't come from a family with money. I certainly don't. And there were times where like I saw my parents really struggling, and not being able to pay bills, and having to borrow money from my grandparents paying for stuff. And we never had the lights cut off, or, we always had food and stuff like that. But I just remember the tension. And I remember, there was just never enough money, and my mom overspent, and my parents fought about money all the time. And so there was just like, I was bringing in a lot of that stuff of like, it's literally never enough. It doesn't matter. And this is something that I'm still working on with my coach, right? Like, it's never enough. Like, I'm always gonna have bills to pay, and like the bills seem like they keep getting bigger. And even if I'm making this much money, like I find something to spend it on, which that's also something that we'll be talking about in the mastermind, because that's around like getting regulated, and like raising the bar and your like energetic minimum around what you want to be making, and what, the money that you have, right? And so just setting a minimum of, I'm no longer available to have anything less than $2,000 in my bank account, in my like checking account. I don't keep a lot of money in there in case my debit card's stolen anyway, but like, I'm no longer available to have less than $10,000 in my emergency fund. That is, I have it there for a reason. And if it gets close to 10, like that's it. Like, I'm done touching it. Because I want to raise that minimum, right? Like, you want to raise that bar. And so really like I said, like taking an inventory of what you're no longer available for, and what you want to be calling in. I'm trying to check and see if there's any comments or anything. I don't know what's going on, but I can't see anything on my phone. So if there are, I will answer these later. And if you're watching the replay, then just like pop them in and I will get you later. So number 8, disconnecting from the belief that I have to work more to make more money. This is just such a trap, and it's what our brains do, especially if you're kind of running the hustle and you start to equate, I have to be working more. It means that I have to be working more days, working longer hours. And so this is where I see people getting tripped up, right? Is like, if you don't have an anti-hustle business model, and you don't know how to streamline things, and you don't have systems in place, you don't have like structure in like the infrastructure of your business and of your launches, so that you can wash, rinse, repeat, especially if you've launched something multiple times. There's no reason why you should be reinventing the wheel every launch. And literally, even though you might be launching different things, there's still a strategy in the launch. And if you don't have that, then please come and join us in the mastermind. There's 2 spots left in the essential pod if you're making 0 to 5K a month, and then 5 spots left in the expansion pod if you're making 5 to 15 and going into like 15K. But this one part of your business, having this piece dialed in, will change everything, because if you feel like you're throwing spaghetti at the wall every single launch, even if you've launched this thing over and over again, that is not scalable. It's not sustainable. You can't hand things over to a team. Look, last mastermind launch, I think it was like October, I had just left my husband. I did not touch a lot of the mastermind launch when we were launching. I couldn't be on camera. I looked like fucking trash for months. I didn't do any sort of lives for months at a time. I didn't take any pictures. I used all old stuff because my eyes were so swollen and I could not show up online. I was only available to work with my clients. And then I had like my glasses on, right? And eventually I told them what was going on, like once I wasn't like busting out in tears on calls. But I did not have the capacity or the bandwidth to show up for my launch. I sold one of the pods out in the middle of a fucking separation because I have a content bank. I don't ever have to write any content ever again for the mastermind if I don't want to. Obviously, that's not going to happen because I've got lots to say about it. My team repurposed all of the content, showed up in my Facebook group, kept me active on Instagram, sent out my newsletters. I handled the DMs, right? But if you, let's say shit in your personal life goes sideways, if you don't have, there's a spider just crawling up the light. If you don't have these things, like if you start to think about your business, and if you're like, if something like that happened, I would probably have to just stop selling, which means that you're not making money, right? That's not good. We want you to have a business. You and I, me, we, you and I want you to have a business that you could hand over to team to manage for you if you needed to take some time off for your mental health. That is the goal. Were there bumps? Of course. Did we figure it out? Of course. Did people know what was going on? Nope. Only recently have I been able to talk about this, right? My clients knew eventually, right? My one-on-one clients knew much sooner than everybody else. That's the kind of business you want to have. So let me get back to the original point. Disconnecting from the belief that you have to work more to make more money. So this is really an opportunity for you to shift your thoughts and beliefs around what it means to make money, what it means to make easy money, what it means to be showing up consistently. Do you need to be raising your rates so that you don't have to work as much? That's also a big piece of this, right? So there's a lot here. Number 9, getting reconnected to my mission and to my work. So we can't do this work if we're struggling. We can't do this work if we are not able to pay our bills, right? And then we have to go get a job, a jobby job. There's no shame in that. Pay your fucking bills how you need to pay your bills, right? And if you're not charging enough, if you're not fully behind what you're here to do, if you aren't connected to your work, it's going to be really hard to sell. So if you're not charging enough, you're going to be struggling. It's going to be like a dog chasing its tail. If you are offering scholarships too soon, if you're doing sliding scale, but you aren't making enough money in your business, that's not a sustainable business model, right? And it was important to me to be able to give back to causes. And to like donate like 10% of my take home every month, right? And so if I'm not making money, I can't give to organizations that I believe in and support people and organizations that I want to support. Because if I can't make ends meet, then I can't be generous and give money to people that I want to give money to, right? And so I had to come back to why I was doing this work, why it's important, why I love doing this, and just really, really remember that the work that I do is needed. So, and I do so much more than just business coaching, right? Like it changes people's lives. It changes how they show up and how they communicate. And I help my clients make more money, and they can give more money away. They can have health insurance. They can quit their jobs. They can give their team insurance. There's just so much more to what I'm doing. And that is what got me reconnected and got me, and just like lit a fire under my ass. So if you're feeling like, you are disconnected from your work, then that's something that we definitely want to be looking at. And how do we get you all in and just really reconnected to what you're doing? So number 10, the big one, is that I realized that I don't have to be anybody else but me to hit these numbers. So one of the journal prompts that I was using and that I offer all of my clients too is, who do I have to be to become a coach who makes 5 figures every month, who makes at least $10,000 a month? And it's more of like, I don't have to be anybody else out here, right? Neither do you. It's me. Like, I need to be more me. Who is that? What does that look like? How does that feel? How do I show up as more me? Who do I have to be? I have to be somebody who believes that this is possible. I have to be somebody who trusts themselves. I have to be confident. I have to sell. I have to be somebody who is confident in the work that they're doing. So that's who I had to be. But we don't have to be anybody else. Like, we don't have to like emulate our coaches or, try on or be like our coaches, right? You just have to be more you, because that is what's going to draw your community closer to you. There's a ton of business coaches. There's a ton of relationship coaches. There's a ton of money coaches, right? But what really will make your people want to work with you is because it's you. And they want to support you, and they love your stories and your personality and how you say the things. And they need you to be more you so that they can hire you. So that was just a huge shift for me. And one thing, and like, as I watched my coach really rise, and my friends who are also multiple 6-figure, coaches, watching how they operated, and like every single one of them just turned the volume up on themselves and just like really stepped into their themness. And this looks different for everybody. It may mean that you're like in lingerie on the internet. It may mean that you're in like tank tops and your underwear with your cat on your bed, office bed. It may mean that you do like more videos with tiny hands, right? Like, that's my flavor. Your flavor is going to be something completely different. That other person's flavor is going to be different, right? So how I show up and my fully expressed is going to be different. Thank God, because if we were all the same, it'd be so fucking boring. So your job is really, and this is what my job is to help you in the mastermind, is to figure out who that is, what that looks like. What does turned up, volume turned all the way fuck up on you look like? And then how do we do more of that online? So that's all I have. Like I said, I can't see any of the comments or anything if there are any. I'm going to run so I can go eat a very late lunch, but I would love to hear your thoughts, what's landing for you, what you see available for you with all of this. Where are you seeing that, okay, this is like maybe something that I need to look at, or something that I can start to implement. And if you want to do this together, like I said, there's 2 spots left in the essential pod and 5 spots left in the expansion pod. If you aren't sure, like maybe you're kind of like in between the 2 pods, send me a message and we'll get on a call and we'll talk about what pod is best for you and if this is the time to join. And if it is, we'll get you in. And then you have access to all the bonuses. You can start going through those immediately. There's lots of trainings and workbooks and things that you can do to get a leg up and to just hit the ground running in the mastermind. There's just an endless amount of things that I've added. There's a coach training and mentoring component now. My business manager is coming in for office hours to help you streamline your systems and really get your like process down and the back end of your business sorted, because that's a huge mess for a lot of people. We'll be talking about, like I said, the money stuff, the wealth, the energetics, mindset. You're going to get the strategy. You're going to get all the things, right? So send me a message if you've been on the fence, and I'd love to talk to you about it. And I will see you next week, the same time, 6 p.m. Central European and 12 p.m. Eastern. Bye.